The film begins with a little girl named Abigail, sitting comfortably in front of the television watching cartoons, when suddenly the signal goes out and an emergency report appears on the screen, announcing that a deadly virus has spread across the world, a terrifying infection that can turn humans into bloodthirsty animals within minutes, and scientists have predicted it will spread worldwide in a short time, so everyone must protect themselves. We are shown that the mother of these children is extremely nervous as she speaks to her husband, a pilot, on the phone, and he explains that the situation is out of control because infected people now called ferals are spreading everywhere, and these ferals have become zombie-like creatures but are much faster, stronger, and can still think, and they have taken over many cities, with the area where his family lives being the most dangerous. So he tells his wife to leave society immediately. And before hanging up, he shows his daughter Abigail the bracelet she made for him, promising to always keep it with him and that he will reach them soon. They rush outside to save themselves, but the scene outside is terrifying, with sirens blaring, people screaming, and ferals swarming all around, so they run toward their car. But just then a feral attacks their mother, and in the blink of an eye, Abigail watches her mother transform into a feral before her eyes. And then she sees that the same feral has also attacked and infected her brother, leaving Abigail deeply saddened, but she remains silent, hiding under the car until the feral moves on. But then her own mother, now a feral, spots her and charges forward to kill her. A gunshot rings out, and Abigail sees her mother fall because a man has shot her and saved Abigail. And this man is Cassius, who lovingly pulls Abigail out from under the car, cradling her in his arms and comforting her. And when he notices her gaze fixed on her brother, who is now becoming a feral, he tells Abigail to cover her ears and shoots her brother in the head, killing him forever. And in just a few minutes, Abigail's entire family has been wiped out. So from that day on, Cassius becomes her family, her teacher, and her protector. The movie then flashes forward 10 years, and the world has completely changed, with nothing but silence everywhere as most humans have either died or become ferals. So Cassius and Abigail are surviving in the woods, and Abigail is no longer the scared child she once was because she has become a warrior, as Cassius has rigorously trained her to fight, hunt, and survive. And this time, we see them practicing in the woods when they spot a survivor trying to escape from the ferals, and Cassius tells Abigail there is a test for her, giving her his sniper and telling her to save this man and kill all the other ferals. So Abigail sits down, and Cassius tells her to relax, take a deep breath, aim at her target, and then pull the trigger, which she does. But in her haste to prove herself, she sees the target but does not notice the humans surrounding it. And when Abigail fires, the bullet hits the survivor instead of the feral. Cassius scolds her profusely and goes there himself, killing the zombies. And knowing that this dead man would come back to life as a feral, he cuts off his head before that can happen. And afterward, he begins taking out the man's belongings from his car and even puts on his shoes because his own were too worn out. But suddenly, vehicles surround them containing many human survivors armed with weapons. And they see Cassius in their dead friend's shoes, so they assume he is a robber who killed their friend, and enraged, they all point their weapons at Cassius. But just then, a pregnant woman named Megan emerges from a vehicle to stop the situation, pleading with everyone to leave them be because they are among the few human survivors left. And before they can decide, another serious disaster strikes as the noise attracts many ferals. So zombies come running from all sides, and a fierce battle ensues in which the group of survivors begins to lose, with only Cassius, Abigail, Megan, and her husband David surviving, so they escape in a car while the ferals are busy biting the others. The leader of the ferals, furious and determined to take revenge on Cassius, begins chasing their car, but Cassius drives off and asks where they want to go, and they tell him they want to go to the colony, also known as Boat Town. But they discover a small plane in a garage, and David says he can repair it while a large group of ferals approaches. So Abigail sits in the pilot's seat, remembers what her dad taught her, and starts the plane's engine just as the zombies arrive, and she flies the plane into the air to everyone's joy. But after an hour, the engine fails completely, so Cassius joins her and crashes the plane into a tree to minimize damage, and they survive with minor injuries, now forced to walk the remaining 2 days to their destination. They spend the night in dilapidated buildings, and Megan thanks Cassius, which makes him melt a little. So he tells her that he killed his own wife because she was infected, and from that day on, he swore to work only for his own survival until he found Abigail and raised her like his own daughter, and he promises to get Megan and David to their destination. The next day, they come across a beautiful farmhouse with electricity, and a scientist invites them inside, preparing a delicious meal that makes them cry because it is their first good meal in 10 years. But after dinner, the scientist reveals that he believes the virus is human evolution, that the strong become ferals and the weak should die. And he has laced their drinks with a sedative, so when they wake up they are bound, and he shows them his device that controls all zombies, revealing that he wants all humans to turn into ferals so he can rule the world, and he sends his zombie wife to attack them. But David, who has been secretly infected and was hiding it to get his wife to safety, uses his zombie strength to fight and kill the zombie wife, while the scientist flees and they escape in his truck. The scientist sends a large number of zombies after them, and David, now about to become completely infected, says his last goodbye to Megan, sending her away with Cassius while he fights the remaining zombies, and the 3 survivors reach the riverbank where the underwater colony is located, so Abigail requests help, and a boat takes them inside where they finally escape because the ferals cannot come underwater, and Abigail is overjoyed to meet other humans, while Megan gives birth to a daughter but dies from blood loss, entrusting the baby to Cassius. That night, a party is held, but Cassius warns Abigail they must leave, leading to an argument. And while wandering, Abigail discovers a secret room with explosives and a remote. And a boy tells her that if the colony is attacked, they will escape through a tunnel and blow it up to kill the zombies. And this plan is needed immediately because the mad scientist has brought a huge horde of ferals using his device, along with the Alpha Feral, who is the leader of the first survivor group seeking revenge. And when Alpha jumps underwater, all the zombies follow. So alarms blare and humans run toward the tunnel as chaos erupts, and Cassius finds Abigail. But during the battle, Cassius destroys the scientist's device by slamming it against the wall, and then he discovers that Megan has died, leaving her baby daughter in his care. Abigail fights off zombies until the Alpha Feral appears, and she sees a bracelet on its hand. The same bracelet she made for her father as a child, revealing that this Alpha Feral is her father, and she freezes as it tries to eat her, but Cassius rescues her, and she realizes that this zombie is not her dad, but that Cassius is her true father. So she shoots the Alpha in the head, saving Cassius, and they run toward the tunnel as the boy waits for them and then presses the button, destroying the colony and burning all the zombies, and the survivors gather on the other side of the river, seeing a small island that holds hope for a new home, and Cassius, now understanding that people are a strength not a threat, decides to stay with them. Taking Abigail and the little girl with him as they set off for the island, they will forever keep away from zombies and ferals. And so, as the sun began to set over the calm river, casting a warm golden glow across the water, the small group of survivors rowed toward the untouched island that would become their new beginning, carrying with them not just their weapons and supplies, but also the weight of their losses and the fragile hope of a future worth fighting for. Abigail sat at the front of the boat, her eyes fixed on the distant shore, and for the first time in 10 years, she allowed herself to imagine a life beyond mere survival. A life where she could laugh again, where she could be a child again, even if only in small moments, because she had finally learned that the world had not ended entirely, but had simply transformed into something new and uncertain. Beside her, Cassius held the infant daughter of Megan, the little girl who had no name yet, but who would one day hear the story of her brave mother and the father who sacrificed everything for love, and he made a silent vow to protect this child with the same ferocity and tenderness he had shown Abigail, understanding now that his purpose was never just to survive, but to ensure that the next generation would inherit a world where humanity could rebuild. The camera pulls back slowly, revealing the vast stretch of water behind them and the smoke still rising from the destroyed colony, and then it turns toward the horizon where the island grows larger, lush and green and promising, and although the ferals still roamed the mainland and the mad scientist might have escaped to plot his revenge, this small boat carried something the monsters could never destroy: the unbreakable bond between a man who had lost everything and a girl who had found a father, and together they would face whatever came next, not as victims of the apocalypse, but as its survivors, its guardians, and its future. Friends, what do you think about this story? Did Cassius complete his promise of saving Abigail? Comment your opinion in comment section, and if you enjoyed this movie explanation, consider subscribing our channel for more interesting stories regularly. See you soon.